Hi, I'm Bevan with Global Cast Resources, and I'd like to stop and take a moment to talk to you about the crucial role that men and women with the heart of Barnabas could play in missions mobilization. Did you know that out of every 100 people who actually say yes to a call to missions, only 2 or 3 actually make it into the harvest? So, of course, as missions leaders and missions mobilizers, we're trying very hard to change that because the harvest is ripe and the laborers are few. So evidently, the Holy Spirit is calling those laborers and they're saying, yes, here am I, send me. And yet there seems to be huge gaps in the bridge from that event, from that moment, to actual fruitful deployment in the harvest. And so we need to stop and remind ourselves, as we've said elsewhere, that missions mobilization is not an event only. It is this process, this discipleship process, and it requires people to come alongside of the disciple, continue to invest in them, help them take the next step, and the next step until they are actually deployed into the harvest. And so laborers are being called, but we need many more trainers, mentors, coaches, mobilizers, leaders of all sorts who are willing to walk alongside of them. So I've noticed that some of these labels actually are not so clear. For example, the word coach. I'm trained as a life coach. I'm a huge fan of that approach, and yet sometimes that word has other associations, like with sports coaching, or even the word mobilizer. These days there's much more awareness of what mobilizer is, but there's still so many people who are functioning in a way where they're trying to help people find their role in the Great Commission, and yet they would not label themselves as a mobilizer and might not know what that term is. So it brings up the question, is there a biblical point of reference for this role? Is this found in the Bible? And I think we do see it. I think we see it in the life of Barnabas, right? Barnabas was that guy who was willing to take a risk on a brash, unpolished ex-terrorist named Saul, come alongside of him, walk with him, and actually release him into greater levels of ministry and influence than even his own. You notice, and in the book of Acts, at the beginning of their story, it always says Barnabas and Paul, because you mention the most important person first. But then it starts to say Paul and Barnabas. And so the heart of Barnabas also includes this willingness to be the sidewalk for others to walk on and actually be launched into greater levels, potentially greater levels of ministry and fruitfulness. And so regardless of what we call these roles, we need more men and women with the heart of Barnabas who are willing to look for and take risks on unpolished potential missionaries who could be incredible disciple makers among the unreached, right? So let's actually stop and do a Bible study on Barnabas. Let's ask God, how can we become more like Barnabas? Let's stop and ask God that He would highlight the people around us that He's asking us to invest in and take a risk in. Because I think one of the huge solutions for this gap between the event of people saying, here am I, send me, and actual fruitfulness in the nations, in the harvest, is the solution for that gap is many more men and women with the heart of Barnabas.
Mentoring Missions Advocates. This is globalcastresources.com.